Next, it's time to ask why the fight against anti-Semitism is being mixed up with partisanship. At a time when anti-Semitism is on the rise around the globe, the Office of the U.S. State Department's Special Envoy for Combating and Monitoring Anti-Semitism ought to be filled. Indeed, the Biden administration seemed to signal its interest in the subject when it decided to upgrade the post by expanding the office's staff and conferring the title of ambassador on the envoy. Biden also named someone that was considered eminently qualified for the job in Emory University historian Deborah Lipstadt, a widely respected expert on the Holocaust. But Lipstadt's nomination is being held up by Republican senators who are determined to play hardball in an evenly divided Senate over every confirmation, and she is no exception. In Lipstadt's case, the obstacle is Senator James Risch, Republican from Idaho and the ranking member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, who has not consented to scheduling a confirmation hearing. And so, like a great many other nominees, it will remain that way until the Democrats manage to persuade the GOP caucus to give in by making some concession on another issue. The justification for the hold stems from a tweet by Lipstadt about a Republican Senator Ron Johnson, in which she responded to his claim that senators would have been more afraid during the Capitol riot if the demonstrators had been affiliated with the Black Lives Matter movement or Antifa rather than being Trump supporters. For this, Lipstadt, who is known for her sharp tongue and strong opinions, accused him of being an advocate of white supremacy and nationalism. Not surprisingly, Johnson took it personally, and fellow members of the GOP caucus aren't going to relent absent an apology by Lipstadt. This is frustrating for her and the organized Jewish community, which wants the post filled. It's also unproductive since the Republicans, who are uniformly supportive of Israel, back the mission of the anti-Semitism envoy. But it's no good pretending that politics can be separated from the business of fighting anti-Semitism in this environment. Lipstadt deserves credit for her willingness to acknowledge, as some on the Jewish left and in the Democratic parties sometimes have trouble understanding, that Jew hatred is present on both the left and the right. As such, she is probably as good a choice as can be imagined from a Biden administration that has unfortunately proved that it is in thrall to its leftist activist wing. Since Lipstadt has in the past called out Omar for her outrageous statements, theoretically that should be enough to convince Republicans that she ought to be allowed to serve. Similarly, she disagreed with those who have made inappropriate analogies between the plight of illegal immigrants to the United States and that of Jews during the Holocaust. Still, it has not escaped the Republicans that Lipstadt did not earn her nomination by her estimable work as a scholar or even the celebrity that she earned by being the subject of a film, Denial, starring Rachel Weisz, for her pivotal role in a case in which Holocaust denier David Irving was defeated in a British court. Lipstadt may have deserved the post, but no one should be under any illusion that the decision didn't have a lot to do with her willingness to play the partisan in 2020 by endorsing a shameful ad from the Jewish Democratic Council of America that likened the Trump administration to the rise of Nazi Germany. She followed that up by co-authoring an op-ed in the Washington Post in which she compared those who raised questions about the outcome of the 2020 presidential election to Holocaust deniers. In both cases, she crossed the same line that she had previously drawn between the Holocaust and partisan issue advocacy. Whether she did so because she genuinely believes that those who disagree with her about Trump are either Nazis or their enablers, or had her eye on the post that she later claimed she had to be persuaded to accept, is irrelevant. Having taken those stands, she put herself in the same boat as any other Democrat with a record of partisanship who had to then try and persuade angry Republicans that she would carry out her duties in a fair-minded manner. Nor is this any different from the way Trump appointees were made to jump through hoops about quotes or tweets that got them in hot water with Democrats. As much as the anti-Semitism envoy should be filled right away, the problem is not so much how partisanship has made the Senate a dysfunctional institution, though that certainly is true. Rather, it's the way people who ought to have known better were willing to sanction inappropriate Holocaust analogies or to otherwise link the battle against anti-Semitism to political sparring. If Americans are to keep politics out of the discussion about anti-Semitism, and therefore enable both the Jewish community and the government to condemn it, whether that comes from the right or the left, then those who are looked to as the gold standard on the issue, like Lipstadt, must not allow themselves to play these sort of partisan games. Next, let's turn to culture and the question of whether the Harry Potter books are anti-Semitic.